topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Barry G. Fowler, EA, brings you Tax Talk for You right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. As an enrolled agent and a national leader in tax resolution, as well as trucker, bookkeeping, and tax planning with over 30 years of experience, Barry will break down taxes, bookkeeping, tax planning, and tax relief for individuals and businesses just like you. So let's have some Tax Talk for You with your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome to Tax Talk for You. I am Barry Fowler. I'm here having fun today. I know everybody's trying to keep warm. It's going to be a very cold day across all of the United States, but it's also going to be a great day, Inauguration Day. Watching the change of hands of power from one party to the next party and getting set for what's going to happen over the next 4 years, which will be very interesting, very fun, and hopefully very prosperous 4 years for everybody. Today, we want to talk about bookkeeping and taxes. And what are your questions? We had a great show last week, had a lot of questions come in. Some we could get to, some we couldn't, and we answered a lot more off the air. But this is question and answer. If you got questions, you can call in at 561-623-9429. Again, 561-623-9429, or text your questions in, and we'll answer these on air. We'd like to start out. Hey, what is bookkeeping? That term, bookkeeping, it actually refers to the everyday practice of entering your business transactions into some structured accounts. It can also mean various ways you can capture these things automatically, using software. And, there's a lot of reasons why, bookkeeping is very critical to your business, such as, knowing where your financial position is, knowing how your business is doing, helping you to go out to be able to get a loan or investors. All that helps you when you have good, bookkeeping and you're keeping records. And your bookkeeping should consist of, your profit and loss and your balance sheet. It shouldn't be what we've seen out there in bookkeeping. It really shouldn't be a cash flow statement. Yes, if you use the right software and everything, you can go ahead and print out and look at a cash flow statement that shows, hey, beginning cash balance, and shows what happened to get to your ending cash balance. But that does not provide you the best way of looking at how your business is doing. Getting an actual financial statement provides you with the records you need to see how well my business is operating. So one of the other questions we get that comes in is, what are the best ways for a small business to use a bookkeeping service, or, how should I do my bookkeeping? Well, systematically recording, organizing financial transactions is what you're using to get to your bookkeeping records, whether that's your bank statements, credit card statements. If you're a truck driver, you're probably getting settlement statements, or maybe you're invoicing out there. And then establish a chart of accounts and how you're going to record everything in there. And then reconciling your bank statements, your credit card statements, and then you can produce a financial statement. And we're moving to probably a really good software that we've seen out there, and probably one of the easiest and the best to use right now is Xero software, Xero. You can reach us at truckertaxtools.com, and we can let you know a little bit more where to find Xero. It's an online product, but it seems to be working really well. And it's actually better than some of the other online products out there. And so if you reach out to us, we can actually talk to you and figure out what's best for you. So when I was talking to somebody else the other day, they were kind of wanting to do it yourself bookkeeping, and listen to one of our other podcasts about what makes up good bookkeeping. What do you need to make sure you got all the deductions? But then they asked us, how do you keep books for a business? Well, teaching bookkeeping, teaching accounting, you can go to school for that. There's colleges out there. If you really want to learn how to do it, that's a great way to do it. Hey, I have seen online services out there that say, hey, we can make you a bookkeeper in let's exaggerate, 30 minutes. They say anybody can be a bookkeeper. Well, that's not true. We've seen people that try to get into this business and they have no clue of what they're doing. They go in and record, your income. They maybe record what expenses they see, but they have no clue what they're doing in this industry. So you need to find somebody that has experience. And if you're trying to do it yourself, you should be keeping track of all your receipts and preserving them. You should be keeping tabs on all your spending, where your money is going, and then save receipts for everything you buy. And then employ a bookkeeping method, whether it's using Xero or maybe you're using a spreadsheet. Spreadsheet's a little bit more difficult if you're trying to keep a true financial statement, such as a profit and loss and a balance sheet. And then you're going to need to know, if you're trying to do true accounting, bookkeeping, you're going to have to understand, how does a balance sheet work? And what should be on the balance sheet? And what should be in your profit and loss, including not just your income and your expenses, interest expense and depreciation and all that, should be going into what's in your financial reports. So, basically sometimes this gets really difficult, and it is a lot harder than what people think. Funny story is I've got somebody that came to us and talked to us about doing bookkeeping and said, we're way too expensive. We keep things very reasonable for truckers out there at Trucker Tax Tools. We started at close to only, $25 a week. And so we keep it reasonable just to do bookkeeping for you. And, the guy was saying, hey, this is just way too much. I can do this myself. I said, granted, hey, you can. Good luck. Go do it. He decided to do a spreadsheet, came back to us and wanted us to do taxes the next year. And I looked at him and I went, you sure this is right? Yep, it's absolutely right. Well, I had to kind of shake my head with him and went, I can look at this, what you're showing me, and it's not correct in any way, shape, or form. What do you mean? I'm insulted. I've spent a lot of time on this. I'm sorry, but let me just ask you a question. You spent $150,000 in fuel, even number, 150000. Is that correct? Well, of course it's correct. It's my number. And your gross revenues from driving the truck were $75,000 even. So you spent $75,000 more in fuel than you collected to run your business. And that's before you made your truck payments, you paid insurance, or paid anything else. You lost $75,000 just running your truck fuel in, fuel out for this money income. Well, that's the numbers I came up with. Well, it doesn't make sense. So he had to go back to the drawing board to figure this out and say, hey, this is wrong. He came in with a bunch of round numbers, and I went, this is just a guess, isn't it? Well, yeah. I said, we can't do that. We cannot do your taxes on a guess. You need actual records. So he did end up hiring us, and we went in and did full bookkeeping for him to get everything correct, get him a set of books. And he looked at me and went, why didn't I do this to begin with? Because this seems a lot easier giving you guys information, bank statements, credit card statements, and everything else than it was for me to sit down and try to do this in what little time I have. And we looked at him and when we said, yes, we know you're a trucking business. We specialize in you and have our systems designed around you, knowing that you sitting in a truck and driving or doing what you do best versus us sitting here doing bookkeeping. You know, I'll be honest. Last thing you want me to do is drive an 18-wheeler down the road. Yeah, I'm good in my Ford F-150, getting out there on the road and maybe even pulling a trailer, but sitting in a big 18-wheeler, you don't want me back there. I don't want you doing bookkeeping or taxes either. Hey, when we come back after this break, we're going to talk about what are some of the best practices for hiring a bookkeeper for your small business. And we'll be right back after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. If you owe the IRS or are going through an IRS audit, don't go at it alone. Call Taxation Solutions Tax Relief at 888-930-1016. We are your solution for IRS debts, audits, back taxes, garnishments, liens, and levies. Whether you're an individual or business, you need a solution and a strong, aggressive tax resolution. Don't let the IRS walk all over you. Stop the IRS now. Call 888-930-1016 or go to taxationsolutions.net now for a free, no obligation consultation. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. We're starting to get a few questions here. Somebody asked the question of, let's see who that was. Claudia, how much does a bookkeeper charge per month? Well, you know, it's really going to vary depending on your industry, the amount of business that you do, and you know, number of transactions that you may have. You know, every bookkeeping service will price their bookkeeping differently. I know when we're pricing, like for Trucker Tax Tools, we're going to price based on you know, how many bank accounts or credit cards you have, number of trucks that you have out there on the road. So we kind of judge based on that and how much business you're doing. And then we can adjust from there to make it make sense. But if you're hiring like a part-time bookkeeper for your small business, it could be $400 to $800 monthly for basic bookkeeping. If you wanted somebody full-time, not including benefits, it can go from maybe $3,000 to $4,500. Simple bookkeeping needs, you can expect to pay, you know, anywhere from $100 to $2,500 a month for outsourcing to a business that does the bookkeeping for you. And much of the bookkeepers that are out there do a lot of after the fact, and that means that if you got invoicing, they're not doing invoicing or paying your bills for you. They're just keeping track of your income and expenses after the fact. for you, and that keeps your bookkeeping costs lower as well. But if you want somebody working full-time or part-time for you, you can expect to pay them anywhere part-time 400 to 800, and then again, full-time it could be anywhere from 3,000 to 4,500, depending on the qualifications of the bookkeeper and what you actually need in your business. So what are the best practices for hiring a bookkeeper for your business? Hey, number one is knowledge of accounting and bookkeeping. They don't have to be a college graduate in accounting, but it would be nice that they have, some basic knowledge of accounting when they're getting into bookkeeping, or they're going to be working, for you. And, when you're going out there and let's say you're going to employ a freelance bookkeeper, you want them to be familiar, with your business. You want them to be familiar and have, a little bit of good experience dealing with the software that you're planning on using, whether it happens to be Xero or whether it happens to be QuickBooks, Sage, or some of the other softwares that are out there that you could use for your bookkeeping. If you're looking to outsource this, what you need is to find somebody that has, enrolled agent, CPA, an accountant that actually knows, about your industry. We have vast knowledge here of various industries. At Trucker Tax Tools, we do specialize in truckers. Taxation Solutions will work with people across many different industries. And there's some industries that Taxation Solutions doesn't touch or won't do. But we have a lot of familiarity with childcare industry, of course, the trucking industry, and many retail industries and other service industries and stuff. So you're looking for somebody with the experience, so that not only when they're doing your bookkeeping, they're starting to relate this over to your taxes and stuff. So if you got questions, hey, feel free to send them in at 561-623-9429. If you'd like to join me on air and discuss your bookkeeping or tax question, feel free again to call us at 561-623-9429. And if you don't want to be on air, just continue to text in your questions, and we will continue to answer those questions for you as well. Okay, we got a question that came in from, it looks like Rick. What does a bookkeeper need from me to be able to do bookkeeping? Well, every bookkeeper out there is going to need information about your company and what you do, of course. But then they're going to be talking to you about what your sources of revenue and expenses, how you're doing your payroll. So if you're doing payroll, they're going to need your payroll forms. They're going to need your, if you're doing weekly payroll or biweekly payroll, however you're processing payroll, with each payroll processing, they're going to need the information so they can book those transactions in there. They're going to need your bank statements, your credit card statements. If you're spending cash for the business and you're reimbursing yourself, they're going to want probably a reimbursement form, so that when you cut yourself a check back, that they can apply the cash out that you're spending to record all the expenses. They're going to need your loan documents. So if you get a new loan, let's say on a new truck, or you buy a new building or something, they're going to need the loan documents to see, what your loan is, how much interest you're paying, what's the terms on it, so they can record interest and principal correctly. If you've got a lease on equipment, they're going to want to see the lease to determine whether it's a operating or a capital lease, so that they can record these the correct way as well. So, they're looking for all the financial information that you have when you buy a new truck or a new piece of equipment. They want the buyer's order so they can get the exact numbers of what you bought it for, because we get a lot of people out there say, hey, I just bought a truck and it was $75,000. Well, that's the number they remember, but the actual charges on that truck may have been $77,623 because of taxes and other things on there, or maybe it's now $82,000 because they added a warranty and stuff in there. So we've got to go through and make sure that everything is recorded correctly for that piece of equipment that you buy as well. And then they're going to ask you questions on a continual basis. What is this for? What was this other things for? Because you get out there and start buying things and spending money, they may not know everything that you're purchasing and what it was for. Same with repairs. So if you're doing repairs on a piece of equipment, they're going to want to see that repair bill so that they can determine if some of that needs to be capitalized or if it can all be expensed based on the IRS rules and regulations for repairs and stuff. So there's a lot of information that people do need out there, and making sure that you've got everything that you need or they need to prepare good books for you, so you have the best possible information at your fingertips. I've got a message in here from Kelly. Do we train bookkeepers? Well, Kelly, no, we do not do training here. What I recommend is go to your community college, take some beginning accounting courses and learn the basics behind it, accounting. We have trained people here to become full charge, bookkeepers, but we want them to have the basic knowledge. And these people have grown with us and become integral parts of the businesses that we service here. And that's the reason we will train them on here, is expecting them to be long-term staff with us. But if you're looking to become a bookkeeper, don't jump into some of these Mickey Mouse courses that are online that say they can set you up to learn how to do bookkeeping. That maybe they teach you how to do QuickBooks, but they don't teach you all the basics, behind it. Have a friend that does costs, went through one of those classes, and it's like calling us all the time, trying to help the client that they've gotten, because they've gotten in over their head and they don't know accounting. They don't know what to do. And they just know, hey, this is what they told them to do for QuickBooks. And, using their standard chart of accounts, and here's how you enter a transaction, and here's how you do this with this transaction. It makes it sometimes difficult on somebody that is an expert in, accounting and bookkeeping and tax, and then having to figure out what somebody else did. So it does, make it a little bit more complicated. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about a little bit about taxes and tax rates. We had a few more questions come in, so we'll answer those after the break, and then we'll jump into a couple of questions about taxes and tax brackets, and we'll be right back after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by, as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Trucker Tax Tools handles all your bookkeeping and taxes, no matter what level trucker you are. Life on the road can be taxing, but that doesn't mean that your wallet or time with your family should suffer. Trucker Tax Tools makes your life run smoothly. Go to truckertaxtools.com for a free guide that will give you the tools to never worry about your taxes again. Call Trucker Tax Tools at 877-966-2477 or go to truckertaxtools.com now and let the experts keep you trucking. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. I'm going to answer a couple of questions here. This is one from Kyle. When you do hire a bookkeeper, how often do you turn in your papers and receipts to them? Well, like when we work with people, we will collect bank statements, credit card statements once a month from you. But we also have a secure portal where you can put up information, receipts, and papers as you see fit. So if you're one of our trucking clients out there, you may finish fueling, or you may have finished repairs, and you may have taken a picture of the receipt and you put it up in our secure portal. Sometimes immediately as you're going through and doing these things, it really becomes up to you. But we also, in our bookkeeping service, we make everything as simple as possible. A lot of times, most of our clients, we are downloading and pulling bank statements and credit card statements from their bank and their logins, so that we have it when we need it, and we're not having to bother somebody to go get it. And then we'll ask for certain receipts behind that supports the information or helps us to look at how something should be recorded, because let's say you did some repairs and we need to see that what repairs were done, so we can decide how we need to record that. Or maybe we see you bought a new piece of equipment and all of a sudden you're paying on a new loan you didn't tell us about. Then we can go out there and get that as well from you. But if you're working with somebody, you can ask them, hey, how often do you want these receipts? But a lot of times, like if you're working with us, you can do it when you want to do it, as you want to do it. We had another question come in, and it doesn't look like they gave us what their name is, but what features are actually in the Xero software that you're talking about? Well, the Xero software, provides good flexibility for you. Allows you to bring in your bank statement, be able to put things in as expenses and income. But if you're running inventory, it does have an inventory system. It allows you to go out there and put in your bills and then pay your bills, claim all your expenses out there. If you set it up, you can actually accept payments through it as well. You can do online invoicing. There's a lot of other integrated apps that are out there. If you do project tracking, we have some clients that do that. You can track your projects out there. You can integrate payroll from other services out there. It allows you to do quotes and purchase orders. If you have multiple currencies, it's got that as well. And it's got a nice accounting dashboard or bookkeeping dashboard and a lot of analytics for you as well. So there's a lot of good features in that Xero software that your bookkeeper can use, or if you've got a little bit of knowledge of bookkeeping, those might help you a lot as well in helping to get you a good set of books that you can use to figure out where your business is going. Now we got some questions that came in on taxes and what are the tax brackets for 2024. So they weren't even looking at 25 yet. They want to know what are they going to be taxed and stuff. And the reason that they were asking is because they were trying to figure out how much money they're going to get taxed. But if you've only made up to $11,600 as being single or $23,200. If you're married, you're only in the 10% tax bracket. Above that 11,600 to 47,150, it's a 12% tax bracket as single. And then as married filing joint, it's going to be double that, 94,300. The 22% bracket goes for single all the way up to 100,525. Now, just remember, the first 11,000, you got that 10% taxes. The next jump to 47,000 from the 11.6 to the 47,150, you get taxed at the 12% rate. So it's not retro all the way to the beginning. You get the 10%, then you move to the 12%, then you move to the next bracket from that 47,151 all the way to 100,525. You get the 22% bracket. Now remember, these are doubled if you're married filing joint. If you're married filing separate, it's going to be same as the single. And then head of household has its own bracket. You're adding a little bit more to it to get to that level. The 24% bracket kicks in at 100,526 all the way up to 191,950. And then from that 191,951 to 243,725, you're at the 32%. If you're lucky enough to get into the 35% bracket, you're making 243,726 up to 609,350. And then if you are hitting the very top bracket, you have 609,351 and above gets taxed at that highest level of 37%. Now that doesn't add in any extras for the Medicare tax. Once you exceed the brackets out there, the jump we did for 2025 was only about $325 in that 10% bracket. And that pretty much, I think, plays out across the board. You did go to 48,475 being where the 12% bracket ends. And then you jump to 103,350 for that 22% bracket. So, basically what you got to remember is that first bracket, you're going to pay that 10%. And once you get above that, you pay the 12% and so on. And then you can come up to a effective tax rate. What is the effective tax rate based on, what is the total amount of tax you paid and against your taxable income, and you can get to that rate that's out there. Some things that reduce your taxes as well is going to be like the tax credits that reduce your tax bill dollar for dollar, but they're not going to affect anything on the bracket that you're in. Tax deductions, on the other hand, reduce how much your income is subject to taxes. Deductions are going to generally lower your taxable income and maybe help you fall from one bracket to the other, so that you can save money. What do we expect now with Trump coming into office? Well, today we expect a lot of executive orders coming out, and people resigning from positions. What I've seen on the news and everything now, but what we're going to be looking for is what are his tax cuts going to be for the future. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, and they're going to be looking right now at the state and local tax amount and what is right now limited to $10,000, no matter where you are. And we see that going and maybe increasing, across the board to cover some of these higher tax states that are out there, that are running state income tax, and or maybe those that are subject to higher property taxes, and getting a better deduction within that standard deduction, so that maybe you don't have those limits, or the standard deduction staying the same, and then more people being able to itemize because the state and local taxes will be going up. Trump was also discussing, other cuts that he's talking about, such as not taxing tips, and don't know how they're going to do that part of it, and still be able to incorporate Social Security and Medicare into that. Maybe tips are not going to be taxed for federal income tax, but they'll still be taxed for Social Security and Medicare. These are things that are wait and see what's going to happen, because this takes not a presidential executive order, but actually takes an act of Congress to get these things through. When we come back, we're going to address a couple more questions we got coming in about taxes and Trump tax cuts and what's to be expected. And we're going to do that right after this break.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by, as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Stop spending time doing paperwork. Go to truckertaxtools.com, a solution built specifically for truckers. Truckertaxtools.com makes your life run smoothly. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. Again, if you got questions, call or text in at 561-623-9429. Again, 561-623-9429. Don't forget to connect with us at taxtalk4u.com. Go there and subscribe to our podcasts and page, that we stay completely up to date. Go to truckertaxtools.com if you're a trucker. If you owe the IRS money, go to Taxation Solutions Tax Relief. We have a great thing for tax relief out there, probably the greatest thing since sliced bread, and that is 3 simple steps to solving your tax problem. And if you go to taxationsolutions.net, you can check that out. Go in there and see that wonderful video that we've put together on solving your tax problem in 3 simple steps. And it doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $1 million, whatever that number happens to be. There are simple steps to solving your tax debt with the IRS, and you can apply a lot of this stuff to the state as well. So what else is we expecting? Inauguration day, and Trump stepping back into office, and what are we expecting tax wise with him? We see the IRS head guy has resigned effective, with Trump's inauguration. Do we expect a kinder and gentler IRS? I highly doubt it. We've got to have some enforcement agency that's out there to keep people filing taxes and paying their taxes, because without it, I doubt anybody would want to file or pay taxes. I know I wouldn't want to, but my license also depends on me doing these filings that they say are voluntary, but not. But Trump's looking at, again, exempting tips. He's looking at exempting Social Security. I think for Social Security, they should also, once you're 62 and a half and able to start taking Social Security, I think that should be 100% your money, regardless if you continue working or not. And the same thing, at full retirement at 67 plus, it should be your money and it shouldn't be offset on any earnings whatsoever. And it should not be a ding against you. That's money you paid in. You should be able to pull that back out as you go over a period of time, for retirement. They're looking at exempting overtime pay from the income tax. Will this help? Hey, we don't know. We're going to have to see what that's going to do, but it should give you a little bit of boost for your take-home income. Again, they're just talking federal income tax. They are not in any way talking about Social Security or Medicare tax on that. I don't see how they could do it and still put it together. They're looking at creating an itemized deduction for auto loan interest. And that could be a little bit of a boost as well. That standard deduction's always been hard to get over, especially when interest rates were very low and stuff. But if you bought a new home, recently, prices gone up, interest rates under the prior administration went through the roof. And so you may have a lot more interest out there, and you might not use a standard deduction. You might be able to itemize, and then it makes charitable contributions that are worth a little bit more to you as well, and giving to charities and making those deductions. We've missed some of that because of the large standard deduction that was there with the Trump tax cuts in 2017. Trump has also talked about a corporate tax rate of 15% for domestic manufacturing. So that's a good thing. Maybe bringing more manufacturing businesses back into the U.S. and manufacturing more things here instead of importing everything. Same thing by increasing tariffs. It should up the activity of manufacturing here in the U.S. and help industries that do that, competing against companies that are using sometimes very low wage countries that are out there. And you gotta watch out for that and see how that's going to affect you. Trump has also proposed eliminating the green energy tax credits, put in place and stuff. I see that coming in. Some of this green energy is good. Some of it's bad. Is forcing things before it's ready is sometimes a tough way to go. Forcing people to start moving to new ways of green energy. Hey, we all want to protect the environment, but we also want our luxuries of being able to do the things that we do without having to worry. Will my vehicle make it, 500 or 700 miles without having to spend 5 hours charging this vehicle? We want to be able to move around, and it would affect travel industry as well. And then Trump's going to come in and put tariffs in place, against, China, Mexico, maybe Canada. We'll wait and see what actually happens with these tariffs. And, a lot of the tariffs that he put in place in his first time through never were removed. They left those tariffs there. There are some people that project that these tariffs would cause more inflation. We're going to see how these things go, and what effect it has on the U.S. and the economy. We can see where revenues had increased into the government based on these tariffs that are out there. There is some talk of possibly moving to a flat tax or possibly moving to just a sales tax as well. I don't think anybody has the appetite to fully customize and redo the whole income tax that the federal government works on. They use these taxes so much to rob Peter to pay Paul, but also as like a Robin Hood plan of taxing the rich to give more to the poor to buy more votes that are out there. So, there's a lot of different things out there, but it's going to be a wait and see, what happens in the tax code with this new administration. So, we're going to be watching this closely and figuring out what's going to be effective and not effective. Our new president, effective today, is going to try to put in place and these changes through Congress, and hopefully they will in some of these cases. It would be really nice to see Social Security not tax or see overtime, not federal income tax. These are all things that we could see coming through out there. Okay, so got one quick question came in from Jimmy. Jimmy, you're a trucker. Awesome. Thank you for what you do and transporting goods across the country for everybody. Stay safe out there, especially with this winter storms that we're having across the U.S. How do I deduct more to pay less in self-employment taxes? Well, that's always a big question that we get coming in from new truckers or existing truckers. And one, I say, hey, give Trucker Tax Tools a call. Go to truckertaxtools.com. Let us give you a free quote for bookkeeping and talk about your taxes and bookkeeping and what we can do. But depending on your income you got coming in, maybe you can be an S Corp. And we talked about S Corps in one of our previous podcasts. So go to taxtalk4u.com and you can see our other podcasts out there and look at S Corps. But make sure you're deducting everything. Make sure you're using somebody for bookkeeping that knows the trucking industry. And even if you're in the childcare industry or retail industry or any other industry that's out there, that's somebody that knows your business and what deductions you can take. In the trucking industry, don't forget per diems if you're driving overnight on the road away from home. And there's special rules for that. Make sure that, maybe it's a husband and wife team, and maybe you should be a multi-member LLC and use guaranteed payments to reduce your Social Security and Medicare taxes. Making sure that you can find every other expense. I mean, you think of it this way. If you spend $100 and you happen to be in the 22% tax bracket and you don't take the deduction and you're using Schedule C, well, that extra $100, you just paid $15.30 for Social Security and Medicare tax. And then you're taxed in the 22% tax bracket. So you get taxed another $20 on top of that. Well, basically, that's $35 that you lost that you could have saved on taxes if you took that deduction. Hey, we talked a lot about bookkeeping and everything in one of our last podcasts. Again, go to Tax Talk for You. Hey, our show always comes to where the hour is quick. Answering questions is a lot of fun, and getting information out to you to help you run your business or save you money on taxes or do better bookkeeping is what we always do. Connect with us at taxtalk4u.com. go there, subscribe, see our prior podcasts, listen to those, download us. You can find us on iHeart, Odyssey, all the different podcast sites that are out there. Wherever you choose to pull your podcast from, go to and use. Connect with us. Go to Facebook, taxtalkforyou.com. And we'll be back next week, Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on W4CY Radio. Look forward to seeing you. Have a great and God-blessed, safe week.
Are you an individual or business that wants to understand taxes and how they affect you? Are you looking for specific tax advice for self-employed, business owners, and truckers? Are you behind on taxes and your bookkeeping? Are you dealing with the IRS and ready to have some relief? Then you need Tax Talk for You, hosted by tax and trucker expert Barry G. Fowler, EA. Tune in 10 a.m. Eastern Time every Monday right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Don't forget to check this and past episodes at taxtalkforyou.com. See you next week at W4CY.com.